He had nothing left but his dignity, and a couch, a struggling single dad with barely enough food for his daughter. But when a mysterious woman knocked on his door, drenched from the rain and shivering, he did something no one expected. He let her in, and by the next morning, everything changed. 1. A father hanging by a thread. David was the kind of man who'd give you the shirt off his back, even if it was the only one he had. After losing his job in a factory shutdown and his wife walking out on him, he was raising his 6-year-old daughter, Emily, on his own. They lived in a cramped one-bedroom apartment with peeling walls and a couch that doubled as his bed. Each night he told his daughter stories to distract her from the hunger in her belly. 2. The knock that changed everything. It was nearly midnight when he heard it, a frantic knock at the door. He opened it to find a woman standing in the rain, soaked, shaking, and clearly terrified. She didn't say much, just asked if she could come in. Most people would have shut the door. David didn't. He simply stepped aside and said, "The couch is all I got, but it's yours if you need it." Issue 3. The silent guest. She didn't offer her name, didn't eat, didn't sleep much, just sat there staring out the window. David didn't push. He had no idea who she was, just that she was running from something. But there was something in her eyes. Sadness, yes, but also a quiet strength, as if she was used to people underestimating her. 4. The phone call. The next morning, she finally spoke. Just one sentence. "Can I use your phone?" David handed it to her without hesitation. She made one call, short, direct, emotionless. When she hung up, she turned to him and said, "You have no idea what you've just done for me, but you're about to find out." 5. A black car, a suit, and a story. 2 hours later, a sleek black car pulled up outside the building. A man in a sharp suit stepped out, knocked politely, and asked for Mr. David. Inside, David panicked. Was this about the woman? Was he in trouble? But the man simply handed him a business card with a gold crest. "You helped someone very important to us. She asked us to return the favor." 6. The truth about the woman. Turns out the woman wasn't just anyone. She was Amelia Grant, a multimillionaire heiress and tech entrepreneur who had gone off the grid after a massive scandal wrongly linked her to embezzlement in her own company. She'd been betrayed by her own board members, thrown to the media wolves, and left to fend for herself while fighting a secret legal battle behind the scenes. 7. The reward he never expected. Amelia had been testing something that night: human decency. She wanted to see if anyone would help her without knowing who she was. And David had passed. Not for fame, not for gain, just for kindness. The very next day, Amelia wired money to clear all his debts, got him a job as a project coordinator in her company, and set up a college fund for Emily that would ensure she'd never struggle like her father did. 8. The interview that went viral. Months later, Amelia gave an exclusive interview where she told the world what David had done. She called him the kind of man the world needs more of. The story went viral. David and Emily were flooded with messages of love, support, and job offers. News outlets dubbed it the couch that changed a life. 9. A new chapter. Today, David lives in a modest but cozy home, working with Amelia on a nonprofit project that helps single parents find jobs and housing. He still sleeps on a couch sometimes, out of habit, but now it's a leather one, in a warm home, with food in the fridge and hope in his heart. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness echoes louder than any fortune. One couch, one night, one choice. In a world obsessed with what people have, David proved the real question is what we're willing to give, even when we have nothing, because the most powerful thing you can offer is compassion. That night, a fierce storm raged outside, mirroring the turmoil in her heart. Rain lashed against the grimy window pane, blurring the neon glow of the city. Inside the cramped, dimly lit room, a lone figure huddled on a threadbare couch, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Her name was Amelia, and she was a woman who'd once known opulence, a life of luxury and privilege. But now she was a shadow of her former self, drenched not only in the rain but in despair. Her sleek silver Audi sat abandoned on the street, a silent testament to the life she was leaving behind. It wasn't always like this. Once, Amelia had been celebrated as the youngest tech billionaire, the prodigy who'd taken the corporate world by storm. But fortunes, like castles in the sand, can crumble with the rising tide. A smear campaign orchestrated by envious rivals had painted her as a villain, stripping her of her empire and leaving her with nothing but the tattered remnants of her reputation. With nowhere else to go and a storm raging outside, she'd sought refuge in this rundown motel. The landlady, a woman hardened by years of dealing with society's castaways, eyed Amelia with suspicion. The girl had nothing but a thin coat and a backpack, yet she seemed strangely resolute, almost regal in her demeanor despite the bleak surroundings. The landlady, though skeptical, couldn't turn her away. That night, the rain continued its relentless assault on the windows, each drop a tiny hammer blow on the glass. Amelia curled up on the lumpy old couch, pulling her thin coat tighter around her shoulders. She was freezing, not just from the cold, but from the realization that she was utterly alone. Then a miracle happened. A lull in the storm, a brief pause in the tempest of her emotions. She pulled out her phone, its screen illuminating her tear-streaked face. With trembling fingers she dialed a number, hoping against hope that she hadn't misjudged him. If he answered, she would pour out her story, lay bare her soul and trust that he would help her, that he would be her lifeline in the storm. On the other end of the line, David was jolted out of his slumber by the insistent ringing. He fumbled for his phone, his heart pounding in his chest. Who could be calling at this hour? He looked at the caller ID. It was an unfamiliar number. Curiosity piqued, he decided to answer. Little did he know that this seemingly ordinary phone call would change his life in ways he could never have imagined. As the phone slipped from his grasp, clattering to the floor, his mind raced, trying to piece together the puzzle of Amelia's identity. Who was she? Why had she chosen him? And what was the enigmatic message she'd left? These questions swirled in his head, keeping him awake as he stared at the ceiling, his thoughts as turbulent as the storm outside. In the silence that followed, the weight of her words echoed in David's ears. "I have nothing left," she'd whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. "But my pride," he murmured, understanding dawning on him. He knew that feeling, the gut-wrenching despair of having lost everything except one's dignity. He, too, had been stripped bare by life's capricious winds, left with nothing but his indomitable spirit and the love for his daughter. He rose from the couch, his joints aching, and walked to the window. Outside, the storm had reached its crescendo. Lightning split the sky, followed by a deafening roar of thunder. Yet amidst the chaos, a sense of determination stirred within him. He couldn't save everyone, but perhaps he could offer solace to this woman who was as battered by the storm as he had been. Without hesitation, he got back on the couch, his gaze fixed on the road. He waited, not knowing that time was passing. He felt a surge of protectiveness towards this woman he'd never met, a stranger who'd reached out to him in her darkest hour. He knew he should probably call the police, but something held him back. Perhaps it was the echo of his own struggles in her voice, or maybe it was the realization that she needed help more than anything else. Whatever the reason, he chose compassion over caution. And so he waited, the rumble of thunder providing the soundtrack to his decision, waiting for the dawn to break through the darkness. For David, this was more than just an act of charity. It was a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit, a refusal to let the darkness consume them. As the first rays of sunlight peeked through the curtains, casting long shadows across the room, David heard a knock. He tensed, his heart pounding in his chest. Could it be her? Had she braved the storm to seek refuge? He rose slowly, his bones protesting, and walked to the door. He hesitated, his hand hovering over the doorknob. What would he say? How would he respond if she was really in need? Taking a deep breath, he threw open the door, ready to face whatever lay beyond.